Time now for our interview segment where we are joined by Mr. Stephen Oundo, the chairman of the National Construction Authority, the NCA. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, a couple of months ago, your authority was established to rid the built industry of road contractors and also perhaps try and sanitize the entire sector. How far have you gone in that regard?
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe just for the records, we are just about a year old as we speak today. And currently we've done the registration process, which is ongoing. The number stands at a whooping 12,000, which is very interesting before the formation, because it means with statistics were showing there were about 5,000, 6,000 contractors. But when we've actually done the registration, we're at 12,000. Now what I've also come to find out is that very many of us had construction companies but had not had them registered with the then Ministry of Public Works. But with the institutionalization of NCA, a lot of the people have come out and they know that this is now the regulator for construction within the country. All contractors by law must be registered by the National Construction Authority. And if you're not registered with the National Construction Authority, then you're not recognized as a contractor.
Okay.
Furthermore to that, remember that it's not just a matter of regulation, but it's also a matter of policing, because not anybody can be a contractor. Previously, we had people running barber shops, butcheries, and then they would come and say that through some political connection, they would form a company, and the next day you find them up and running as contractors. That is now something of the past.
Okay, and of the 12, what type of contractors are we talking about here, or when we put into perspective the 12,000 that you've already registered?
Now, one thing you need to pick out, construction is quite wide.
Yeah.
We have road contractors, we have electrical contractors, we have plumbing and drainage, we have building contractors. All of them do fall under the realm of contractors. But also beyond that, they're also categorized within capacity and competence. And normally we look at figures. We have those who can do jobs within the 20 million range, 50 million, 100, 200 million, 500 million, and a billion and above. So the categories range between NCA 1, that is the highest level, and the lowest is NCA 8. Now what we've done to be able to protect the country, especially the issue of foreign contractors. And when you're saying foreign contractors, we're talking about non-citizens. Only NCA 1 is where you can have a company that has foreign contractors. But then the composition of the shareholding still has to include at least a local when it comes to actually doing the work.
Okay.
The aim of that is to have what you call transfer of technology. We've been having this problem, and you probably saw it on some of the projects that have been there in the country, whether it's the Chinese or whoever have been coming in. They do the work and go, and they leave us without having picked up anything, which doesn't help the growth of what I would call our citizen contractors. Okay,
quite some remarkable progress there. But the question that begs is, what criteria did you use to actually register the 12,000 that you've already registered?
We have to look at one, when we're analyzing through the applications, are you a registered entity? A lot of us have been purporting to be contractors, but when you ask them for their documentation, you find that they've actually been quote-unquote fake. In fact, when we were doing our evaluation, it was very interesting. You see somebody putting in a logbook saying they own a tipper lorry, probably KBT, and they say that vehicle was registered in the year 2002. And you know very well KBT was not in business, I mean, had not been registered by then. So we had to look at plant machinery. What do you have? What kind of machinery do you have? What kind of personnel do you have? And even the full range, carpenters, painters. Then you also have specialized personnel, like the ones who do the driving of these tipper lorries and the specific cranes. All that. Then what is your capacity? How much can you do in terms of putting money into the project before you get paid? Some people, depending on your threshold, they need to be paid after 1 million shillings. Some people can do work worth 50 million, some can do before they get paid. All that is part and parcel. And then your experience. What jobs have you done?
Okay. Allow me to cut you short. And recently, the Urban Development Secretary called for your authority to actually shame by blacklisting and also publicly shaming quacks and also road contractors. I'd wish to know how far you've gone in heeding that call.
Yeah, what we did was, in essence, we were coming up with what we'd call a fresh list of contractors, because what we've done, every contractor, whether you had been previously registered under the previous regulations, had to come to the National Construction Authority and be registered. Now, what happens is that we treated every information in the document. We had to cross-check and verify. So one way of looking at it, all the names that we have on our register right now, I would say have passed the threshold. You know, there are two ways of shaming. Those who are on right now, if they do get into trouble or we have complaints against them in any work, we can be able to deal with them. But for as long as they're on the list right now, we are giving them the benefit of doubt that they have a clean bill of health. But then also remember that this list is public in the sense that it is found on our website. So if you have engaged with any of these contractors, because remember, we are human beings, we cannot be perfect and have weeded out totally. You know, the issue about corruption, it has been something that has been in this country for a long time. And it takes time. And remember, construction captures about 9% of the economy of this country. So you can imagine the colossal amount of money is involved. So if I have been in the business and I have been doing shoddy work or have been crooked, you definitely would expect such a person to try and find a way of still remaining in business. So we are actually asking the public, still as they look at that list, if they have any genuine, and we say genuine because we also do not want victimization. If I have a personal grudge with a contractor, that information, let it be brought, and we will be able to vet and verify whether it is really something that the person failed in the proper course of work, whether it's just a personal thing and somebody wants to settle a score. Okay, as we wind up, there is this women contractor dinner that will be taking place this evening at one of the hotels in the city. Tell me more about this dinner. You know, with our new constitution, it has been very fair in the sense that previously it was, I would say, favoring men. And right now we're talking about trying to incapacitate, I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, so that everybody really benefits. And I've told you, we're talking about a sector that has a very large economic value to the country. Now, what we are doing is we are trying to entice all those people within the country, especially the ladies, that construction is not a reserve for men. Even women do have it. And look at it with our government, the way they formed it. Look at our construction industry. We're talking about the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. Who is our cabinet secretary? None other than Charity Gilu, the Honorable. Who is our principal secretary? We have Mariam El-Mari, who is an architect also in her own right and a project manager. So if you look at the NCA that I sit on, my vice chairman is a lady, Dr. Isabella Njeri, and the list is endless. So we are saying, can we have women know that from now on, this is not a reserve for men alone, and they do have their role. And you'll also find that something that is interesting, as a statistic, that women are less susceptible to corruption. So if you want to have an industry that can be cleaned, we're actually saying have as many women as possible. Our current list, we're only talking about between almost 700 construction companies where we have women controlling out of the 12,000. That's a drop in the ocean.
All right.
We would like to see that change.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Oundo. It has been a pleasure talking to you. We have been talking to Mr. Stephen Oundo, the chairman of the National Construction Authority, and he has been bringing us up to speed with the ongoings as far as that NCA is concerned. And it's at that particular point where we wind up this particular edition of the show Inside Business. Let's do it again, same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Patrick Igunza. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Thank you very much, sir. It has been a pleasure.